Hey, I have a crazy idea. What if we get a bunch of funny people, allow them to be funny, and make smart business decisions, all while catering specifically to the needs of our devoted niche fanbase? 16 years ago in 2009, haha, you're old. 16 years ago, College Humor was a website and YouTube channel that was popular for its original offbeat shows, cast of self-deprecating comedians, and homegrown, in-jokey community with their finger firmly on the pulse of the internet. It allowed these funny people to be funny. Today in 2025, Dropout is a streaming service that is popular for its original offbeat shows, cast of self-deprecating comedians, and homegrown in-jokey community with their finger firmly on the pulse of the internet. It allowed these funny people to be funny. College Humor has existed in one way or another for 25 years. 25 years! That's at least 76 years in internet time, and not all of it was smooth. It's been a crazy ride to get to that point, full of ups and downs. This is not simply a story about booby pictures being posted online, jokes about farts and sex that may or may not have aged well, and game shows that could induce trauma in their participants.
Moving right along. Sam says don't flinch.
No, there is a deeper story in here about how the capitalist engine enabled comedic content to thrive and reach the right people, only for that same machine to then crush that content between its gears, forcing these talented and funny people to seek a new refuge, independent and untethered from the demands of big business. Yeah, I'm definitely doing the classic video essay thing. Capitalism! In this video, I want to take a look at the storied journey of College Humor, the people who helped make it what it is, the properties that spun off from it, and ultimately I want to track that one secret sauce responsible for College Humor's long-term success, and why its video creation slash production arm has still continued to thrive where many others have failed. What was that? Full disclosure, College Humor was probably one of the first YouTube channels I ever got attached to, and the one that I can say I've watched most consistently to this day. And I'm exercising a lot of restraint to prevent this video just me going over about how much I adore this YouTube channel. Ah! Also, before people yell at me in the comments, yes, I know College Humor was completely rebranded to Dropout, but that is like chapter 20 of this video essay, and we are still at the preface, so buckle up. College Humor started out as a website established by these two college dudes, Ricky Van Veen and Josh Abramson, in a dorm room in the year 1999. From what I could piece together, it was mainly just funny stuff circulating in the web, or random pictures and articles and things that these two guys did that they just found funny. Quote-unquote, stupid college stuff. The website displayed this prominently on their webpage. We've had several complaints from parents and older people who are offended after looking at this site. Please note that the name is College Humor and not Parent Humor. You will be offended if you explore this site anymore, so please do not proceed. That is the most late 90s teen discovering the internet thing that I have ever read. What they mean is that there were a lot of pictures of boobs. But for as crude as this website was, it was also wildly successful. In the early 2000s, Ricky and Josh became obscenely rich by their early 20s. In the first half of 2005, they earned $2.4 million from internet advertising and t-shirt sales alone. They operated College Humor from their apartment with a lean staff of 11 people, doing everything from web design, supply chain management, and making and curating the content. All those in charge of the content, by the way, were recent college grads, ensuring that the content would always feel fresh and relevant to their target demographic. Now, moving forward in the timeline, 2006, that was a huge year for them. Firstly, they hired Sam Reich as director of original content. He would be instrumental in navigating College Humor and seeing it through right up to the present day.
You could say that he's been here the whole time.
Secondly, CollegeHumor was bought out by IAC, or Interactive Corp. IAC paid $20 million for a 51% stake. This would allow CollegeHumor to expand its scope and be more than just a website that showed titillating images or sold t-shirts. On one hand, that's great that CollegeHumor was able to do more stuff with the backing of this multi-billion-dollar media company. On the other hand, do you think it would be feasible for a huge company to support a staff of like 100 more people through the revenue of only one website? I'll give you a second to think about it. Well, signs point to yes. It's 2006, baby. The economy's great. The internet is the future. Independently run websites can make a bunch of money through ad revenue. Everyone can make a sustainable living by making content on the internet. Yeah! By the way, the media billionaire who was responsible for that acquisition also bought Ask Jeeves just a year before. So it's those sharp marketing instincts that I'm sure will carry CollegeHumor to long-term success. There's this one video I found where the CollegeHumor staff are super psyched to be in their new, expensive-looking office in notoriously expensive Manhattan. An office that will start looking very familiar if you remember those early CollegeHumor days. We'll get to that. But just knowing how much all of this would cost, it's just, oh. But the most important thing that they would do that year would be something done on their website. Well, I should probably say a word about what the website was at the time. If you were terminally online as early as when you were a teenager, and I mean, look at you. That's mean, I should probably be a lot nicer to you. If you were terminally online as a teenager, born between these years and male, you very likely have visited the CollegeHumor website at least a few times. The homepage itself was just kind of a hodgepodge of content, ranging from articles to illustrations to photos collected from around the web to, pictures of boobs. Despite being bought out by this large conglomerate, they still had to cater to their fans. I mean, I guess it was in the name, CollegeHumor. And I don't think they mean like, haha, you'll never be able to pay out your student loans. I mean, not yet at least. Wait until a decade and a half later. But 2006 was more like a very bro-y era of college. You know, girls gone wild, wet t-shirt contests, and beer keg chugging parties, I don't know. And while CollegeHumor was modeled after this paragon of 2000s college life, I feel like a lot of younger teens and even preteens comprised a pretty big chunk of the website's audience. But the real star of the website were, of course, CollegeHumor would host these funny viral videos around the web, like, quote, wacky cat videos, or sketches from groups like Derek Comedy, starring a pre-mainstream Donald Glover.
It's a dick. Your memory loss makes you forget what dicks look like. He's using your memory loss to get you to suck his dick.
And with that IAC backing, CollegeHumor, of course, also produced their own comedy skits called CollegeHumor Originals. You could watch the videos on their site, and they even launched their own video hosting website, Vimeo. You remember that? I mean, the fact that it's still even online today is just an accomplishment in itself. But of course, another much more prominent video website, YouTube, was just right around the corner. And CollegeHumor would start their own YouTube channel on October 9, 2006. The videos they made would premiere on the website first, then would be uploaded onto YouTube. YouTube being where I, and I think a lot of other people, probably first found out about them. By 2011, they were among the top 10 most subscribed channels on YouTube, alongside other comedy titans like Smosh, Freddie W., Ray William Johnson, and Nice Peter of Epic Rap Battles fame. Now, something to note about CollegeHumor was that it was all over the goddamn place. It was very unfocused. I swear, at any given point in time in CollegeHumor's existence, there were like 10 to 20 simultaneous series running, and I could not keep track of all of them. I take it that they were going for a more old-school television-type programming. I mean, it's a YouTube channel, so obviously you have to have programs, right? That's how TV used to work.
Listen, we didn't know what we were doing. College Humor's YouTube manager was like, you gotta have different types of programming on a channel. So we just were like, okay.
I mean, this makes sense. If you're trying to operate under the umbrella of this multi-billion-dollar conglomerate, and you're just starting out, you just need to be able to do everything under the sun. Launch a bunch of series and characters and kinds of videos, and just see what sticks. And this makes it very hard if you're trying to do a College Humor retrospective, because your memory of College Humor may be entirely shaped by whichever series that you got attached to at that time. And that's not even getting into the other IP owned by College Humor that was big at the time, Dorkly. So if you have a favorite College Humor series or video that I didn't mention, do let me know in the comments. Now, I'm going on and on about series and whatever, but some of the first skits to get on my radar were one-off skits that were just kind of existing in a bubble and not part of any titled series beyond College Humor originals. Just funny ideas that were stretched out into 3 to 5 minute sketches. For instance, movie trailers and parodies. The first one I remember watching was this one. What if Matrix from the Matrix movies was run on Windows XP and operated like an old computer?
It looks like you're trying to bend a spoon with your mind.
Yeah, I got it.
Can I help you with that?
I remember finding that really clever. Or what if Sarah Palin's vice presidential run was a 2008 feel-good Disney movie?
Will you be my vice president?
Well, I have to go pick up algebra at hockey practice, and I've got a lasagna in the oven.
I love this video because the editing so perfectly captures the pacing and atmosphere of those mid-tier DCOM trailers. The one I remember getting very viral though was this Dora the Explorer one.
Swiper, no swiping.
Oh, man.
This one they actually turned into a little mini-series. And many years later, Nickelodeon would release their own live-action Dora movie, supposedly unrelated to the College Humor skits. Real life is beyond parody, guys. But for real though, I think that these are super fun, inventive ideas, executed really well and seen to their fullest potential. And I think comedy gold like this can only be cultivated in the right environment for their creatives and writers. Former College Humor writer Adam Conover describes having a lot of creative freedom in that role. And another writer for the website mentions not being put under immense pressure by the College Humor higher-ups to keep making content in an unsustainable way. And did you see that? Overall, just an environment that allowed for letting ideas happen naturally and letting funny people be funny. That's how you get gems like, what if fonts were human and got together in a conference? Or what if the Google search engine was a guy?
Hello there.
Is today tomorrow New Zealand?
Yes.
Foot same length Europe?
What?
Now that idea was so good and so ripe for comedy that College Humor would repeat that many, many times. These skits were like short films that couldn't necessarily be done live or on stage, kind of reminding me of like SNL's digital shorts. And short films make sense. Looking back at a lot of these skits, I'm really impressed by the production quality. It's kind of difficult to see with blocky 360p video on YouTube, the highest quality I could find for some of these skits. But it's clear that they used professional actors, costumes, high-end cameras, real lights, even special effects. Two things. One, this production gloss established a legitimacy to the College Humor brand and stood out from so much amateurish content on YouTube. And two, this would not have been possible without the IAC Corporation and its backing. That IAC money, man. But even with these high budgets, College Humor as a brand still felt very in touch with online trends. It was extremely internet savvy in ways that old media simply did not have the ability to keep in touch with. Like, even now, whenever Saturday Night Live tries to parody something that is happening/happened over the internet, it's just, be quiet, Lorne Michaels.
Unfortunately, no cap. She's literally dead.
One of the cool things about working in internet media was getting immediate feedback from the audience and just being immersed in their language, their culture, their references, which could then be milked for content. Like here in Internet Commenter Business Meeting.
Think about
First,
dick, asshole.
Douchebag.
Photoshopped. What? This chart has been photoshopped. I made this myself.
Well, it's gay.
That skit was posted nearly 18 years ago now, and that's just really how people talked back then. Ow, my bones. They then took this concept all the way up to 11 with a sketch that is super close to my heart, unfortunately. With the Billy Joel "We Didn't Start the Fire" parody, "We Didn't Start the Flame War." We didn't start the flame war. By the way, I realized some of y'all might not know what a flame war is, so I'm just going to throw up a definition on screen. You're welcome. Also, oh my god, I'm old. I have to say up top, when I was in high school, I remember thinking, yes, this song gets me. I am the internet, and the internet is me. This truly represents my generation. Which is great, because this song has slurs in it. And ironic bigotry. Look, I recognize the problematic aspects of it now, but I also acknowledge that this was a very different time, and this was just what a lot of humor was in that era. Either way, please do not yell at me. Speaking of things that didn't age super well, here is one of CollegeHumor's most viewed videos, Guys Stuck in History Class. I believe that this is one of the first in what would become a CollegeHumor staple, POV. Back when the word POV actually meant something, when it meant shooting from a first-person point of view and not just slapped in the front of every TikTok, that's not POV! Calm. But yeah, I really admire it from a cinematography perspective, but honestly, it's not as charming as all the other skits we talked about.
Oh, girl with big boobs isn't here today. Or if she is, she's not sitting in front of me. I'll just do a quick turn like I'm stretching my neck.
There's a lot of crude sexual humor, and then something happens toward the middle of this skit.
Unicorn.
Oh yeah, did I mention that this was the thumbnail they used? No wonder it has 60 million views. All of this is just to illustrate that we are still firmly in the college bro era of humor. I mean, remember, this is what the website looked like. Still in that wet t-shirt contest, beer keg chugging time period. And it informed a lot of the sketches. But as well made as these sketches were, these were not the most impactful or even the most memorable ones, in my opinion. The Hardly Working series is an extremely long-running series shot in the CollegeHumor offices with the majority of actors simply playing fictionalized versions of themselves, such as Jeff Rubin.
Keep in mind, the scoring is binary. Every team has 4 players, 2 on offense, 1 on defense, and 2 on offense, which totals...
Streeter Seidel.
Camouflage doesn't muffle sound, you dumb bitch! I know you're messing with me, and you know what?
Dan Gerwich.
I am, so I'm just gonna list my favorite numbers. 1, 2, 3, 5. Ask me about 4. It's kind of a funny story.
Jake Hurwitz.
She's 3 feet tall, double D's, no teeth, and a flat head so you can rest your beer on her.
Yes! Amir Blumenfeld.
No, dating implies that I'm actually still paying for meals, which I am not. It's not a financially viable option for me at this point. You know, I'm telling you guys, chivalry isn't dead, it's bankrupt.
Pat Castles.
Hey, you know who else loved pizza? Rock stars. You guys want to meet a real rock star?
Yeah, okay.
The original rock star. Long hair, played by his own rules, put on one hell of a show.
Sarah Schneider.
I don't know any other way to stand when I'm this turned on.
No way.
Meet me in the broom closet, 5 minutes. Leave your pants outside.
Kevin Corrigan.
I made my coworkers disappear.
David Young.
Looky here. Looks like the only one that can save you guys is this guy. So who doesn't respect me now? Oh, come on!
And Josh Rubin.
That job like a porcupine deserves a Medal of Honor. I'm gonna pull the tablecloth out from under him so all his dishes come crashing down.
Okay, my sexy confession. One time I took a big old dump and I pushed in the bathtub.
I know it's not a contest, but Josh Rubin is my favorite. Just my favorite. And also take note of that name, he does come up later. And most interestingly for me, we also had the people in leadership positions participate in the acting of these sketches, like founder and former CEO Ricky Van Veen.
Next item on the agenda, loose leaf. If you're gonna use 2 sheets, just use 1. If you're gonna use 2 sheets, just use 1.
And director of original content, Sam Reich.
It is pure West Virginia. What does your dad do, dear? Is he a coal miner? Does he stink of the land? And oh, how quickly the boy...
And then going into 2010, we got new folks like Owen Parsons.
Every second you're standing there blabbering is a deal that Emily and I could be closing. That was a deal. That was a deal. That was 2 deals.
Brian Murphy.
Broadcast the way you really feel. How do I please you, Father?
Stop shaking it.
I can't. I'm so mad. I need like 3 microphones. I'm down on my knees.
Emily Axford.
How do you let a man in a suit tell you when you get to be naked in the sun?
Health insurance.
Live bold. Explore. Dream.
And Adam Conover.
Boshtis hazy. Very, very hazy boshtis, everyone. But if you're feeling up to it, feel free to make your boshti buoyant or even loquacious.
Adam's also going to be very important to the story, but you probably already know that. It's worth noting that among the early cast, the majority of them started out as writers, editors, or content creators for the website first. In fact, a number of them were already working for the website before they even started making videos. Except for Josh and I think a handful of others, these people were employed initially without the expectation that they would be performing on camera.
Were you brought in to do on-camera stuff? Or
no, just as a writer.
Really?
Yeah, we were all brought in as writers. None of the College Humor cast
was supposed to be on videos.
Talent, right?
We only made videos when we were done with everything else, and then only when those videos started getting like watched is when our boss was like, "Oh, we should put them on the website."
Amazingly fortuitous because none of us were like antisocial and ugly, where like a lot of comedy writers are. Like
That's why in some instances, some of the acting in these skits can be a little rough around the edges, even amateurish.
Wow, I feel really bad. What should we do?
I wish you didn't exist!
But that's actually an asset. It's super nostalgic and charming. It kind of reminds me of those really, really early days of YouTube where the appeal was just watching a bunch of friends hang out and have fun and act out skits for the camera. It was actually super endearing for viewers at the time, I'm sure. And compared to, say, the movie trailer parodies, the Hardly Working skits were a lot lower budget and way easier to produce. In the early days, they literally just shoot in the office, and you can see people in the background of these skits just randomly doing office work. I like this one guy realize that they're actually shooting a video and then walks off frame in a video that has 1.6 million views. But okay, what about the actual video content of the skits? Well, it was all over the place. Because these Hardly Workings were so easy to make, the vibe that I always got from these early videos was that they were pretty low stakes. It almost felt like a way to indulge in the writer's weirdest and most crass and most off-the-wall ideas. Like this one just called Airplane.
Airplane? Yeah. I mean, it was like I'd known her all my life, you know? It was one of those things. Whee!
How's the weather up there, Flight 492?
Clear ascent, 001, 2,000 feet, IMS approach.
Just to show how absurd these can get, I'm just going to show the last few seconds of a couple of Hardly Working skits, and I assure you, these are just baffling with or without context.
Come on, Pat, you should really eat this.
Why is your pussy at the bottom?
Did you hear Pat's 37?
Ah, God, a prime number, that's gross. Hey, do the seagull.
But sometimes they would strike gold. My all-time favorite video of College Humor, and probably my favorite comedy skit ever, is Hardly Working, Sarah's Birthday, which I think starts off as a meta-commentary about how the Happy Birthday song is copyrighted.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you guys?
I am so embarrassed. I can't remember how the song goes.
And then the bit just keeps escalating, and I don't even want to spoil it. I would just encourage you to go watch it. Now, I would make a case that Hardly Working is actually College Humor's signature series. You watch these movie trailer parodies or POV videos, they're fun skits, but except for the intro or the bug in the corner, you wouldn't distinguish them as distinctly College Humor. But in Hardly Working's case, it's the same cast who work directly with College Humor, basically playing themselves in the same reliable setting. And it also helps that viewers can kind of form bonds with these performers. In fact, when College Humor launched a short-lived series with MTV in 2009, they basically extended Hardly Working skits stretch to a 30-minute time slot. Speaking of cheaply produced skits shot in an office, there's also this one.
Yeah. Can I trust you? Yeah. What?
Dude! I feel like such shit. You trusted me and I let you down.
That was a skit from Jake and Amir that the two of them would just film for fun to make each other laugh and then upload it onto Vimeo. College Humor saw it and liked it and produced a web series based on it, Jake and Amir, a recurring segment with Amir playing a frankly insane, unpredictable, out-of-control guy, and Jake playing a normal straight man.
How many almonds would you say is the perfect amount?
I said never mind.
I want to know.
I don't know, 24.
Well, I am now the proud owner of onealmond.com.
The concept of a funny character and a comedic foil has existed for as long as humor has existed. But Jake and Amir add a more online, bordering on R-rated edge to these skits. Again, it's that internet-savvy, college bro-ish attitude I would not find in, I don't know, Drake and Josh. I've never actually watched Drake and Josh. I'm old. Because skits like this were easy to write and make, with lines being improvised on the fly sometimes, a lot of the skits just had the vibe of two guys having fun around the office or elsewhere. The Jake and Amir series would go on for nearly 700 episodes from 2007 to 2015. That is a mind-melting number of things to make in one lifetime, let alone in the span of 8 years. Now, at the time, Jake and Amir felt like College Humor's other flagship series. I personally watched so much of this show, but because there were just so many skits, all of them just like blended together in my brain in a puree of beef and almonds and soy.
Help us! I'm crying!
He's crying soy!
Tears of soy!
Tears of soy!
Oh, I'm beefing! I'm beefing soy!
Honestly, the Jake and Amir sketches I find myself constantly rewatching are the ones that play with the formula a little bit. Like the one where Jake is the crazy one, or the one where they get special guest stars like Brian Murphy or Allison Williams of Get Out fame, and every episode that Ben Schwartz was in, I've seen like all of those so many times.
Welcome to my office.
This is your office?
No, come on.
You went like that.
I was just stretching these parts of my arm.
The chemistry between Jake and Amir was just so palpable and so natural, and the dialogue was just so ridiculous and over the top that the two of them developed a ride-or-die cult fanbase. After they moved on from College Humor, they made a Jake and Amir TV pilot, but due to TV network politics, it wasn't picked up, despite a massive online push from fans. They did a Vimeo web series called Lonely and Horny that did kind of okay, but they really found a lot of success in the podcasting space. Their comedy advice podcast, If I Were You, was so successful that at one point it was the third most popular podcast in the US. And the success of that podcast led them to launch the HeadGum Podcast Network that also hosted podcasts featuring other College Humor alum like The Jeff Rubin Show. And perhaps most notably, Not Another D&D Podcast with Jake, Murph, Emily, and Caldwell Tanner. That one became absolutely gigantic. At one point, it was even ranked among Patreon's top 10 earners. Listen, there is still a gazillion other series I could be delving into for this portion. I could talk about Prank War. Like how this one prank where Amir tricked Streeter by programming a fake marriage proposal on the Jumbotron from Streeter to his girlfriend as a prank. This was huge news at the time. Like, it was covered by some pretty big publications. But also, it just turned out to be fake. I could talk about Troopers,
Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Somebody f***ed up. Now I have to kill Larry. So, which one of you is Larry?
Or Badman.
Where were the other drugs going?
I never knew that. Wait, what?
I said, where are the other?
Or Precious Plum.
We got a 52-hour drive ahead of us. So it's like, fuck.
But the one I really want to highlight is a lesser-known one called Hello, My Name Is, an improv show where Josh Rubin is given makeup and prosthetics without a mirror, and is only given a short time to conjure up a character and backstory before being interviewed by Pat Castles in a mock talk show.
Started in Subhuman Resources, making sure everyone was upset and sad.
Or heck, even this extremely short and relatively low-viewed series, also with Josh Rubin, just improvising in a VO booth.
Jalapeno cheddar bread, only at Ganjo's.
All right, that was pretty good, Josh. So maybe if you could just emote a little more for us.
Okay.
Try the all-new Ganjo Sammy.
Let's try 100 pounds fatter.
Okay. Try the all-new Ganjo Sammy. 2 meat patties.
Throughout the late 2000s and early 2010s, College Humor felt like it was too big to fail. A wealth of talented people and beloved series enabled thanks to IAC's funding. It always felt like it was at the cutting edge. So where do you go now that you're at the top? So something very interesting happened around 2014. From New York, Sam Reich and a few dozen video employees at the time relocated to Hollywood.
Looks like College Humor's going Hollywood.
This was to dedicate more time and resources to Big Breakfast, a new offshoot production company of College Humor. According to a Wired article by Kate Nibbs, the business model in a nutshell was to use the internet as a massive focus group to pitch television shows. Shorter form digital shows that performed well would be retooled and sold as more traditional cable offerings. They actually packaged and sold quite a number of shows to cable networks and streaming. The one in particular that I remember was Hot Date with Emily and Murph.
You posted an unflattering picture of me at my lowest.
Because I love you, even at your lowest.
But by far, the one that had probably had the biggest cultural impact of any College Humor property got its start as a video on College Humor. On February 14, 2014, a video written by and starring Adam dropped on YouTube about why wedding rings are a scam.
And you may think of the diamond engagement ring as a timeless symbol of love. Turns out, this ancient tradition was invented less than a century ago by the De Beers Diamond Corporation.
This was inspired by Adam's own stand-up routine with the same premise. Now, after 8 years of making video content, this was pretty new ground for College Humor, and a huge challenge to sell. This had to be an entertaining and funny video, educational, and go against commonly held beliefs and conventional wisdom in a way that might make people angry. And going back to number one, it had to be funny and entertaining. This was a delicate balance between all these factors, but the video, which turned out to be an incredible proof of concept for the know-it-all is annoying but right formula, was a massive hit online. Shortly after, through the Big Breakfast production company, Adam Ruins Everything was developed into a full show that was then picked up by True TV. Throughout the 3 seasons of the show, Adam disproves conventional wisdom about everything from airport security, to gender bias in video games, to the Electoral College, all with the help of careful research and even advocating for change and reform when applicable, all while still being compelling and entertaining to a general audience. Now, this is just anecdotal evidence. I am a sample size of 1. But once, when I briefly visited the US, I saw Adam Ruins Everything everywhere. Like, every TV screen at airports, bars, and restaurants were just playing his show. I saw his face in ads for the show on billboards and plastered onto the sides of buses. He felt like a household name at the time. And all because College Humor took a chance on this weird, educational, off-brand bummer of a video. It was that creative freedom that allowed good ideas like that to flourish and take hold. Although all this may be an indicator that maybe College Humor was starting to outgrow itself. It was moving away from the college bro-y, wet t-shirt contest, beer keg-chugging era that got them big in the first place. But not every independent property to spin off from College Humor was so polished. On January 14, 2014, on the College Humor Facebook page, illustrators for College Humor, Caldwell Tanner and Nathan Yaffe, in between doing their regular jobs for the website, posted a video of them randomly doing an illustration while soliciting suggestions from the Facebook audience on what to draw next.
And then hopefully in the future, people will have suggestions for what we have to draw, so we'll never have to, think of anything independently ever again.
The video is honestly kind of a mess. First of all, the video's volume is turned way too low, as evidenced by this comment. You see all the icons on the Mac desktop, and also later videos have audible office chatter that's just really distracting.
For skinny legs, teensy little baby legs. It's like kind of like that. Thick up.
Anyway, this exercise duo brand was called Drawfee, which would spin off into its own separate YouTube channel, and it is my favorite YouTube channel of all time. Okay, maybe top 5. No, you know what? Top 3, at least. I love Drawfee so much. So the entire thrust of this channel is that it would take comment suggestions and make drawings out of them.
Welcome to Morning Drawfee, the show where we take your dumb ideas
and make even dumber drawings.
It started with Caldwell and Nathan, both of whom I adore, by the way, before reaching its final form in artists Nathan, Jacob, Julia, Karina, and editor David. The show still is about these really talented people who make digital drawings.
I don't know if I've ever drawn anything better than this.
I think the answer is no.
But the entire appeal from the get-go was watching these people who could be your cool art friends, just goofing and gaffing. To this day, my one go-to comfort rewatch so that I'm not alone with my thoughts is Julia drawing a strange little Tykes cozy coo to the horror of everybody else in the room.
I'm just gonna keep saying until I figure out what's happening, because it's not getting better. It's not getting better.
Guys, I have a few pieces of news.
It's getting worse, Jacob.
Anyway, due to some legal kerfuffle at one point in early 2020, the ownership of Drawfee's YouTube channel was kind of in limbo, due to reasons I'll get into later. And this was bad news for the creators who had essentially been locked out of their channel, the work and brand that they had put in years of effort into. They weren't able to make money from their own art and content. But thankfully, this was all settled by June 2020, and Drawfee has operated as an independent entity with a Patreon ever since.
You may remember we lost our jobs at College Humor back in January, but now we have full control over the Drawfee channel.
So what does that even mean?
Drawfee is now fully independent, which means we own the channel.
Now, I bring all of this up not simply as yet another beloved series that could have only been made possible with College Humor's creative freedom, but when Sam Reich was put into a position where he was CEO, again, we'll get into that later, he said that one of his first orders of business was to try and set up Drawfee for independence. Hearing about that is so refreshing in an environment where some internet companies try to hold such a tight leash over the content and IPs produced by their creatives, even when it doesn't really make sense to have those IPs anymore. It's nice to hear one instance of creators finally getting creative control over... Okay, there was definitely something there, right? You all see it, right? So there was Adam Ruins Everything and Drawfee, but what about the actual College Humor channel? Well, a lot of old cast members left and went on to pursue careers in legacy media work, and primarily as TV writers. For instance, Sarah and Streeter wrote for Saturday Night Live, and both of them serving as co-head writers at one point. David wrote for Carpool Karaoke, Pat wrote for Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, Dan and Owen wrote for Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, and pretty much all of them, as part of the writing teams for these huge network shows, have Emmy wins and nominations up and down the wazoo. And that's to say nothing of Jake and Amir's massive podcast thing, and Adam and Murph and Emily all seeing success from their shows courtesy of Big Breakfast. In a way, you could say that all of these people moved on to bigger and better things. But what about the actual College Humor channel? Well, obviously, with the old cast leaving one by one, they ended up being replaced with these new folks, and I want to go through them. There was Katie Maravich.
We're basically married. Did you see that?
No.
She was all over me,
No.
touching me, kissing. She blew me a kiss.
She did not kiss
She was
you.
like groping me.
Mike Trapp.
It's a little tiny cube with a bunch of little buttons that don't do anything, and little wheels and gizmos and stuff. It helps me relax. It's kind of like doing work, but it doesn't do anything.
How much did you spend on all this?
I haven't had the courage to look.
Zach Oyama.
Fuck you for thinking that this world needs another podcast, and that people you know should listen to it. It's a bad idea and a waste of time.
Cynthia Cao.
Sure. Cynthia, do you want to check out my GoFundMe page? Sure.
Hey, can I borrow your earbuds?
Sure.
Siobhan Thompson.
The jackets. You told her about the jackets already. Alright, well, I already have Beyonce tickets then. I can do all of the splits, especially the middle. Okay, well, I don't wear a bra. Oh, I never wear a bra. Who would wear a bra? Not me.
Grant O'Brien.
How? Maybe we remove a rib like Marilyn Manson. Was that true? I bet that was true. That had to be true. Screenplay idea. A documentary about 90s rock bands called Bowling for...
Brennan Lee Mulligan.
There's a JetBlue sale to Hawaii that leaves the same day we fly to New York, so we can just drop you at the airport. That's fine. And then afterwards, you take 2 short red eyes to Chicago, meet up with us there. And Izzy's uncle at this point will not want to have anything to do with us, so we'll get a rental car to get to Boulder.
So you're saying that my whole life is meaningless? That I should have made different social, financial, and career-related decisions that would have put me light years ahead of where I am now?
No.
You're saying that I had all the time in the world to get ahead of you and I squandered it.
Rekha Shankar.
Okay, guys! I can't answer any of your follow-up questions because I have no idea what we're talking about. I haven't heard anything you've said.
And Ali Beardsley.
We used to be friends. We used to be equals.
We're still equals! What are you talking about?
No, we're not. Not after you saw my thirsty duck face.
Now, one thing about this new cast is that nearly all of them were taken in with the expectation that they would perform on camera. So acting-wise and comedic timing-wise, they are all just top-notch, A+ all around. Now, I did notice that some of the skits during this era with the new cast tended to lean toward more relatable day-to-day experiences and interactions, and take them to an extreme, like having an awkward amount of time to wait in between errands.
Turn right back around when I get there. I don't have enough time to do anything.
Sounds like someone has an awkward amount of time.
Whoa.
Or how being tagged last on Facebook can feel like a personal attack.
Thanks, guys.
Why did you tag me last?
What?
You tagged me last, and I want to know why. It's a fair question.
It doesn't mean anything. I just tag people randomly on Facebook.
Oh, bullshit.
Or how booths at conventions sometimes give away free stuff of dubious quality.
Slides. None of them work. Oh, but I shan't say no. It is free after all. Yoink, boink, boink. And what's this? Ugly lanyard? Yes, ma'am.
To be honest, those were not necessarily my favorite kind of skits from College Humor, but this era definitely did have its fair share of gems, fantastic sketches that also happened to be fan favorites. Like this absolutely wackadoo one where Mike tries to figure out how tall Grant is relative to the rest of the cast.
Come on, what the hell? Does this really matter? I mean, who cares how tall Grant is?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm losing my mind.
Or this one about a girl who is annoying and how blasé and low maintenance she's being about everything.
You had this picture taken.
I mean, honestly, we were both just kind of at the Sears photo studio at the same time, and we were like, well, we don't have anything else to do.
Actually, pretty much all the videos in Brennan's CEO series are great.
These sports heads can't get enough of their team's mascots. If you spend any time at all scrolling under the furry hashtag, you'll be wowed at their craftsmanship, ingenuity, and dedication. What am I looking at?
But I was still an avid watcher of College Humor back then, and I did notice a number of angry commenters. Now, a part of this might just be resistance to any kind of change. Whenever a YouTube channel goes on for a long while and evolves over time, you'll get these old viewers who will be all like, I miss the old college humor. You know, desperately clinging to any kind of nostalgia and thinking that getting all their old shows back would bring back the good old days. No, Dylan! Your childhood is over! No matter how many nights you spend binge-watching old, hardly working episodes. Trust me, I would know.
Hey! You suck! Bring back Prank War!
Maybe not that fan.
I hate change!
But there's one more insidious reason why people got angry. One final skit I want to highlight from this time was this one, Diversity is In. I like this sketch a lot. It's honestly way ballsier than anything SNL would release nowadays.
You heard it here first. Next week, diversity could be out.
No, that's not what I'm
Trends like
saying
this
at all.
don't last
actually.
forever.
What are you talking about?
Diversity's just the flavor of the week. And then, bye-bye. Only white people.
Okay, so something you might notice is that there was a demographic shift among the public-facing College Humor contributors. And not just that, but there was also a tangible, progressive lean with a hint of liberal values throughout their sketches. For instance, having a skit written from an LGBTQ+ perspective, like this deeply meaningful one of Grant coming out as bisexual.
I am attracted to men.
Great.
Or acknowledging the specific plight or difficulty that women have to face day to day.
Carry it or something, I don't know.
But we're already carrying keys in one hand as a weapon and mace in the other.
Use the mace so you have time to call 911.
And I remember the comments. Jesus Christ, do I remember the comments. Let's just say that 2016 to 2018 was a slightly distressing time for this kind of discourse. Although, is there ever a non-distressing time for this kind of discourse? Scholars say no. Okay, look, a lot of angry commenters were calling College Humor woke. Go woke and go broke. This may have been the same audience who were brought in by the edgy offensive website in the early 2000s, or the more salacious posts and original videos during the early years. But College Humor just couldn't persist like that. No more college bro, wet t-shirt contest, beer chugging, whatever it is I said. I feel like the cast clearly wanted to make their values and what they stood for clear to the viewers. And maybe there was also an attempt to appeal to a broader audience outside of the chuds of YouTube. I mean, it's called College Humor, but college only lasts a few years. You're going to have to grow up. You're going to have to leave eventually. You graduate or you drop out. Wink. Now, if you clicked on this video, it's likely that you know that College Humor didn't stay in that particular iteration forever. And throughout the 2010s, there were a number of challenges that plagued a lot of online media companies that also happened to affect College Humor. Firstly, Murph said in a 2017 Reddit AMA that there was an expectation from audiences that the media produced over the internet be on par with a professional TV production. Now, College Humor was uniquely positioned to make short film level quality content, as they had been doing that from the very beginning. But now, every video had to look like that. They couldn't have videos that looked like this, or sounded like this. Even the hardly working skits, or skits shot in the office throughout the later era, have a shocking amount of behind-the-scenes effort that went into them. And this kind of worked against them. In 2012, YouTube had shifted its algorithm to prioritize watch time, meaning the meta shifted to getting people to watch your videos for a longer period of time with the least effort expended. This led to the rise of genres on YouTube like vlogging, gaming, tech reviews, commentary, and reactions, but felt like a death knell to the more labor-intensive genres that took a very long time to make, like animation, pop song parodies, and look at that, short, punchy comedic videos that required a whole ass crew to put together. This meant that 3-minute videos were generally a lot less likely to go viral. They still got a lot of views, but none of the runaway successes like their old videos had. Here's a point that I've never seen anybody else bring up. At this point, around the late 2010s, CollegeHumor was still publishing videos on their channel that spanned different series. Now, this is something that I acutely feel myself as a tiny baby channel. See, popular advice for creators of my size is to stay in your lane. The common prevailing wisdom among small YouTubers is that viewers subscribe for one kind of content or one video that they just happen to really like, and if you deviate from that format a little too much, the subscribers who like that one video will not engage with the other video with a different format, which allegedly sends a signal to YouTube that your subscribers won't be engaged with all your videos, and then your channel will die, and then your family will starve. For example, I'm a commentary channel, but if I released a Let's Play or cooking video tomorrow, my subscribers will not click, my channel will die, and my family will starve. Do you want that on your conscience?
Like you get like 1 or 2 types of content on a channel, otherwise it starts to feel kind of cluttered.
Yeah, look, I blame YouTube for calling them channels.
Yeah.
Because then the whole industry starts to think it's like a TV channel where you'll have different shows with different hosts. And now the algorithm learns that every time you upload, people aren't necessarily going to click. So let's stop promoting them.
So, going back to CollegeHumor, if you subscribed because you wanted to see more, say, Adam Ruins Everything segments, or you wanted to see more Actually, or more of Brennan Lee Mulligan's CEO series, you subscribe once, but you keep getting recommended these other videos that you're not interested in. And then you just lose interest in the CollegeHumor channel as a whole. And then their channel would, you know. But the real reason CollegeHumor went down was because of money.
We've got to have money.
Throughout its 20-year run, CollegeHumor has been described by Max Willens of Digiday as only intermittently profitable, which makes sense if you take a look at the landscape of social media at the time. Now, because I have direct experience with this too, I may as well point out that despite what 100 Rice Gums or Jake Pauls will tell you, no, YouTube doesn't actually make you a lot of money. Why do you think your favorite micro to mid-tier YouTuber who works alone needs to have a Patreon just to be able to make an average living? By the way, feel free to check out my Patreon. I have bonus content on there. It's $2 a month. Integrity? What's that? And so the idea of a YouTube channel not hitting tens of millions of views on every video being enough to sustain a company of 100+ people, it's not just laughable, it's actually mortifying. But they wouldn't have to rely on their YouTube channel so much if they could still rely on other platforms like their own website. But in a Twitter thread by Adam Conover, he states that Facebook artificially inflated the viewer counts, saying that way more people were watching videos on Facebook than there actually were. This incentivized creators and companies like CollegeHumor to post on Facebook's platform natively. But what ended up happening was that it drove down ad rates and stole site traffic away from CollegeHumor, also driving down potential profits and in turn, video budget. In a Reddit AMA, Sam says that Facebook's role in this was overblown, but does confirm that social media as a whole, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, killed independent websites by hogging traffic and ad sales. Independent websites like CollegeHumor.com. He even goes on to say that it was an act of the rich hollowing out the middle class. Capitalism! That is crazy to me. Remember, this was the website that, in the early 2000s, started out as a crude repository of pictures and videos by 2 bored college kids, and that made them obscenely rich. And now, that same website, which had since expanded massively, was now in a lot of trouble. And so, on January 8, 2020, IAC sold CollegeHumor, laying off over 100 employees, including a bunch of cast members and contributors that audiences had grown so attached to. Now, the majority stake of the company was sold to Sam Reich, who at the time was CollegeHumor's chief creatives officer. In his announcement discussing the layoffs, Sam hinted at a new direction under his leadership now as the CEO. Some will need to take on bold, new creative directions in order to survive. Well, what could he possibly be referring to? Okay, so remember Big Breakfast, the offshoot production company of CollegeHumor? Well, it was decently successful, getting to produce a number of shows that were then sold off to cable networks and streaming services. But then the executives thought, well, we're already making all this great content. Why don't we just do everything in-house? Own the platform, own the terms. How are they possibly going to do that? How are they going to host the content without the interference of advertisers, network demands, or social media corporations?
The answer is by going straight to you. Today we're announcing Dropout, our new subscription service. It's like Netflix, but worse. And cheaper.
That video was released on September 27, 2018, and I vaguely remember the reaction being cautiously positive, but also quite skeptical. What? Pay for another streaming service? But it's 2018, we already have Netflix. Huh, could you imagine paying for another streaming service? But there was one business decision that Dropout made that changed everything. See, how I've had it explained to me was that in a normal venture capital environment, most companies try to woo investors with astronomical, imaginary projections of exponential growth, get a bunch of money, and then buy properties and products that they couldn't possibly afford, and then charge the lowest possible price to get in as many customers in the door as possible. And then, years later, you realize you don't have any money, you have a bunch of angry investors, and who will riot if you so much as raise a cent on your price, and your company is on fire. But at least you gotta put a down payment on your third yacht. Capitalism. With the Dropout streaming service, Sam Reich did not do that. Under his leadership, he did not cater to sponsors, promise obscene growth to investors, or aggressively advertise beyond its means. No, Dropout only made shows that they could afford to make and bet on the quality of that content to pull in more paying subscribers. If you take a look at a bunch of Dropout shows now, many of them turned out to be built around improvisational comedy and storytelling, and not the elaborate scripted sketches that made CollegeHumor so famous. And I think it speaks to the ease of making sustainable content while still giving people the space for funny people to be funny.
I think CollegeHumor did a great job, but spending like 8 hours on one 3 to 5 minute sketch is like, nobody's happy with the end result once you spent that much time on it, I don't think, typically. Yeah. TikTok exists, and there's a bunch of these other platforms where like you can have these grains of ideas and jokes and see what sticks and turn that into something more exciting if it's irreverent, or also just let it exist in like a lower stakes.
One particular show that got big is the absolutely insane and unpredictable game show that relies on on-the-spot jokes, Game Changers.
Stirring creamy mac and cheese. Ooh. Ready? This point goes to Zach. Sam says, say something we'll have to bleep.
Something we'll have to bleep.
Holy shit.
Bitch.
And do you know how Dropout got on my radar again years after it was announced?
It's taken a lot of luck, good timing, and viral TikTok game changer clips.
Yeah, if you so much as glanced at the Shorts feature on YouTube, you very likely have encountered these game changer clips. As it turns out, short-form video is a great avenue for really funny improv to get viral. The same way that street interviews or stand-up comedy crowd work has gotten big, people like spontaneity. And it was a great marketing tactic. Another improv show I want to highlight, do you remember that early CollegeHumor series, Hello, My Name Is, with Josh Rubin? Well, that concept was retooled to Very Important People, which also had some viral success in short form.
Very important. Woo! 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 Woo!
Can I get a little clap? Can I get a little clap? Can I get a little clap?
Or even this one-off VO Booth skit that was published on CollegeHumor's second channel.
Oh,
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Josh, in a Saturday morning cartoon.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Anna giving a TED Talk.
My name is Inigo Montoya. Right? We know this. This we know. You killed my father. We all.
Yeah, an offshoot of Game Changers was made, Make Some Noise, which is a more straightforward comedy improv show, and also has gotten big on short form. Make Some Noise, or as I like to think of it, Gen Z, whose line is it anyway? So with that business decision and all those programs, how did Dropout do? Well, now Dropout is thriving. Sam has hinted that hundreds of thousands of subscribers were drawn in by how great the shows are and how naturally funny and likable the cast is. One word I see cropped up a lot when discussing Dropout's audience is niche. Sam has spoken about the lowest common denominator audience when trying to make viral content in the early internet days. But now, with a dedicated streaming service, you can rely on the depth of your cult fanbase who will follow you wherever you go. And I think this is best exemplified by what many people consider to be Dropout's flagship program, Dimension 20, a post-produced D&D live play show hosted by Brennan Lee Mulligan. Yes, it may not necessarily be a mass appeal product, and yes, its core audience may primarily be D&D fans, but due to the cast's incredible charisma, delving into worlds outside the typical fantasy milieu normally used in D&D, and bringing in popular guest stars from other fandoms, the show was able to amass a ride-or-die following able to sell out Madison Square Garden. That actually happened. In fact, some of the things that were seen as challenges for College Humor's YouTube channel turned out to be assets on the Dropout streaming service. The fact that the YouTube channel was too jam-packed with series that came across as unfocused, well, now, as a streaming service, it's just become a wealth of potential shows that you could choose from. And the progressive liberal ideals that so many commenters were angry about.
When people are saying that, like, oh, you can't make comedy anymore,
Yeah.
you're doing silly, ridiculous comedy and not punching down,
Yeah.
not hemming and hawing over what you can or can't say.
Sure. There are some really basic values under what Dropout is, like being kind and respectful to people and appreciating their work. We get
Sam would go on to say that fans would see Dropout as something of a safe space. But I don't think any of that is the real reason behind Dropout's success. One thing I found myself asking was, with all this experience and eyeballs on them, why don't the Dropout cast just leave? You know, like the old cast members who would go on to win Emmys for their involvement in writing for network shows, or Jake Amir, or Adam Conover. Well, in 2023, the biggest WGA and SAG-AFTRA double strike in history happened, pausing production across hundreds of American films in production, TV shows, and even some web-based content. But guess who was untouched because of already meeting the demands of the union? Dropout at the time was so fair to its talents, both in front of and behind the camera, that they were one of the few productions to get a pass from the union to keep working. Sam was paying his talents well above the required union minimum, even working on profit-sharing schemes. Imagine a small streaming service was able to satisfy the demands of a union in a way that a huge company like Netflix could not. See, the secret sauce to me is that College Humor / Dropout actually values and respects its people, the super talented writers, crew, and cast that make the show possible. In fact, one edge that Dropout has against other platforms is that it uses the same talent across all the different shows. If you liked one contestant on Game Changer, then it's likely that you would see them on D20, or Actually, or Breaking News. It builds a sense of community or family that a Netflix or Prime or Paramount Plus simply could not given their business model. Much like a mega channel like Smosh, audiences feel closer to the people, not just their brand, but their personalities and chemistry. Actually, it kind of even reminds me of those really early versions of Hardly Working or Drawfee. When people are your biggest assets, you ought to take care of them, unlike Unlike... Okay, it was lurking in the background of this video long enough. Do you know one other online company that was known for churning out relatable user-sourced content and video personalities to build their brand? In the mid-2010s, BuzzFeed was an absolute content juggernaut. During its imperial era, it dominated the discourse through sheer volume and omnipresence and hashtag-relatable memes and listicles and quizzes and videos and everything. Seriously, it was everywhere. But in 2017 to 2018, it seemed like so many of the contributors and people who had established any kind of presence as a public persona for BuzzFeed all seem to leave en masse, with so many people publishing videos to the tune of "Why I Left BuzzFeed," to the point where it became a meme. It seemed like the most common complaints were the pressure to produce too much content in a short time frame, the lack of control, autonomy, or ownership over the work that the contributors created themselves, and low wages that didn't seem commensurate to what was being demanded of them. It seemed like a company that simply did not prioritize people and sustainability. But from what I've seen from CollegeHumor / Dropout, I do not see that happening. Outside of occasionally roasting Sam Reich, Dropout contributors seem to have a lot of praise for the management. Dropout still isn't for everyone. It's not necessarily a mass appeal network, but it's got its audience, and that audience is loyal enough and big enough to keep the network steadily growing. Many people have gone on to say that Dropout is the only streaming service that they really need, just because it's that good. And a year and a half ago, the CollegeHumor channel was no more, officially rebranding to Dropout.
CollegeHumor was a brand founded nearly 25 years ago by Ricky Van Veen and Josh Abramson, largely because the .com was available. But after dropping out of CollegeHumor, dropping out of advertising, dropping out of corporate America, the name Dropout somehow feels more appropriate. Ricky and Josh, myself, and so many others owe our careers to you.
Over 20 years, CollegeHumor has gone through ups and downs, changing to become indistinguishable from its earliest roots. And yet, the most important parts of it have still remained the same. Here, letting funny people be funny doesn't just mean having the freedom to experiment with different formats or make dumb sex jokes anymore, though they still do a lot of those.
Sex with me is like running a marathon.
If you search on the internet, you'll find a video of a lady shitting herself in the middle of it.
But also cultivating a work environment where these people who love their jobs can keep doing their jobs for as long as they want, free from advertising or corporate pressure. Look, I don't want to end on something so cheesy, especially for a video about a website that was once known for posting pictures of boobs, but here it is. I think that in these economically uncertain times, investing in talented and creative people and ensuring that they are taken care of can feel like a risk. But now, it may actually unlock the key to long-term success and sustainability. And those relationships will be there forever. And we just cannot lose sight of that.
One thing it's taken above all else, the thing this business too often takes for granted, is people.
Thank you so much for watching until the end. First of all, I really want to thank my patrons and YouTube members. Their names are on screen now. Thank you for supporting me and enabling me to make a living out of this. That really means a lot. And if you are interested in more bonus material from me, you want to help the channel out, and you have the means to do so, I did launch Patreon and YouTube memberships. Every month you actually get a bonus video, which is actually quite long, where I talk about topics relating more to me or myself and just YouTube in general, and you get to hear my thoughts about things, and you can connect with me on there too. But either way, I really appreciate that you watch until the end, and if you want to help the channel out in other ways, you can just like and subscribe. That will already mean a lot. You can subscribe to the channel. Thank you again for being here. This video was really a labor of love. All of my videos are, but this one especially. So thank you again. Bye bye.